invites me onto a call, it's usually to tell my story. So I've been telling my story for 28 and a half years.
Cuando alguien lo invita a hacer estas presentaciones es para platicar de su historia y lleva platicando su historia 28 años y medio.
And of course, the story continues to evolve as long as I'm active in the business.
Y la historia continúa a evolucionar conforme sigue activo en el negocio.
So I have to pick moments in time to talk about.
Tiene que escoger ciertos puntos de la historia.
But every story has a beginning, and that's usually where we begin.
Y cada historia tiene su principio y es ahí donde él empezará.
So thank you for taking your time tonight to listen to my story.
Gracias por escuchar su historia hoy.
I was a graduate of aerospace engineering from the University of Toronto in 1986.
Él se graduó de la Universidad de Toronto en 1986 como ingeniero aeroespacial.
Very good, yes. And so I have a very strong technical background and theoretical background.
Y tiene mucha práctica técnica y en teoría.
But I actually never entered the field of engineering.
Pero nunca entró a ser ingeniero.
Instead, I entered the field of being a musical artist. I was singing and writing music.
En lugar de hacer eso, se dedicó a la industria de la música y a hacer música.
So I was actually given a recording contract.
Y le dieron un contrato para hacer música.
Now, most of you have not heard me sing.
Y muchos de ustedes no lo han escuchado cantar.
But if you give me enough wine or enough tequila, I'll sing.
Pero con tantito vino o tequila les puede cantar.
And I love singing.
Le gusta cantar.
Anyways, unfortunately, my career in music was very short.
Desafortunadamente, su carrera en música no duró mucho tiempo.
The record label that I belonged to collapsed.
No sé cómo se diga.
The record label fell. The company closed.
Fracasó el proyecto de su cantante.
So it's important you choose who you're going to partner with if you're projecting a future and a career.
Así que si quieren proyectarse en un buen futuro, tienen que tener buenas parejas para hacerlo.
And so I ended up working for a friend of mine as an electrician.
Y terminó trabajando para un amigo de él como electricista.
And that was only something I was doing for a few months in the summer.
Y lo hizo solamente algunos meses en el verano.
However, most of you probably can relate to this.
Pero muchos de ustedes tal vez puedan saber lo que él está pasando.
That something you thought was going to be for 2 or 3 months ends up becoming a lot longer. For me, it was 3 years.
Que algo que se supone que iba a ser por 3 meses terminó siendo por 3 años. O sea, un tiempo más largo.
So I had no intentions of being an electrician, and I had no intentions of having a normal life.
No tenía una intención de ser electricista y tampoco de tener una vida normal.
So I found myself in a very peculiar place because I wasn't living at all up to my potential and my expectations.
Y sentía como que no estaba viviendo, no estaba haciendo lo máximo de sus expectativas.
And so while I was working as an electrician, one day I was in the van in the passenger seat and we were hit from behind, and that collision began a new journey.
Y un día, mientras estaba terminando de trabajar, tuvo un accidente automovilístico que le dieron por atrás. It was from behind, right?
Yeah. And so I sustained a low back injury, what they call whiplash of the lower back.
Y tuvo un problema con su columna como resultado de este accidente.
And then I had to visit a doctor, a chiropractor, a massage therapist. I was in somebody's office every other day for a year and a half.
Y tuvo que visitar a varios doctores que se especializaban en diferentes cosas durante 1 año y medio después del accidente.
Every day I was in pain, every day.
Y diario con mucho dolor.
So imagine all my dreams and expectations, and there I was, a broken electrician.
Entonces imagínense todos sus sueños derrumbados y él siendo electricista.
And as far as money, I was barely surviving. I was earning about $29,000 a year in my best year.
Y o sea, el dinero no era muy bueno, estaba ganando aproximadamente $29,000 al año en aquel entonces.
So I was really at a low point in my life when Nikken found me.
Así que cuando Nikken lo encontró, él estaba pasando los peores momentos de su vida.
Now, I wasn't looking for Nikken,
Y él no estaba buscando a Nikken.
but you know how some things we attract into our life?
Pero a veces atraemos ciertas cosas a nuestras vidas.
Well, one thing's for sure. I knew that my life had a much better outcome than what I was living.
Y él sabía que su vida tenía más potencial que el que tenía ahorita, en el presente.
And I was quite frustrated.
Yo estaba frustrado.
And so I got a phone call from an acquaintance of mine who invited me to his house to look at a new product that could help my back.
Y un amigo de él le habló y lo invitó a que checara un producto que era muy bueno, era un nuevo producto.
Now, I didn't know that he was looking at getting involved with Nikken as a business, and he didn't tell me that. He just invited me to his house.
Y él no sabía que quería que él se metiera a vender productos de Nikken en el momento que lo invitó a su casa.
But he did do the right thing, and that was he explained everything to me.
Pero hizo lo correcto y me explicó todo.
And he showed me a video of Nikken.
Y me enseñó un video de Nikken.
It was called Humans Being More.
Y se llamaba Humano Siendo Más.
Now, I thought, well, being a Japanese company, maybe they didn't translate the English correctly.
Y siendo una compañía japonesa, tal vez no tradujeron bien el título de
Humans being more what?
Humano siendo más que.
Anyways, the product and the testimonies were fascinating.
El producto y los testimonios fueron fascinantes.
And he happened to have one product that I could put on my back, one of the magnetic products.
Y él precisamente tenía un producto para ayudarle al problema que tenía con su espalda.
And literally within 15 minutes, my back didn't hurt.
Fue un imán y literalmente en 15 minutos se sintió mejor, ya no le dolía su espalda.
So now I wasn't sure if that was me excited about this idea that caused my pain to stop, or if it was actually the product.
Y no sabía si era él que estaba tan emocionado con el producto o si era el producto.
See, an engineer is always thinking and, logically, critically.
Los ingenieros generalmente piensan lógicamente.
So I decided to take the information he gave me home and study it.
Y se llevó la información para estudiarla.
Now, I was familiar with network marketing.
Y él estaba familiar con cuestiones cibernéticas,
Our network marketing
como
business, the business model,
para los negocios.
el sistema de red.
Ajá.
Um, and and I was also fascinated by it. It was very interesting to me.
Estaba fascinado y fue muy interesante para él.
Because it was really a possibility to create a different kind of life altogether than what's normal.
Porque era posible crear una nueva vida más, o sea, más allá de lo normal.
And I didn't expect to have a normal life. I told my mother when I was a child I was going to be a millionaire.
Y él no quería tener una vida normal. De hecho, cuando en su infancia le platicó a su mamá que él quería llegar a ser millonario.
And, you know, being raised in Italian home, my mother would be, yeah, that's nice. Let's hope.
Y siendo criado en una familia italiana, sus papás nada más le decían, sí, 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 cómo no.
Well, I really meant it. I really did believe that was where I was going to end up.
Y él lo creyó y se vio ahí.
So I guess there's something to be said about trusting your instincts.
Y hay algo que decir para tenerle confianza a tus instintos.
Something that I was experiencing in this introduction really spoke to my heart. I got a sense about Nikken.
Algo de la introducción al Nikken le cambió algo en su vida, en su corazón.
So there I was at home studying the information, and my father, who I was living with, was going upstairs to bed.
Y ahí estaba estudiando la información que le había dado su amigo y su papá estaba subiendo las escaleras para irse a cama.
But his face and his pain was so extreme because of his sciatica.
Pero su cara de dolor que tenía por su ciática estaba terrible.
So I had an idea. I would try this product on my father and test him, make him the guinea pig.
Y él tuvo una idea, voy a intentar este nuevo producto en mi papá. Va a ser mi
Because if it worked
experimento.
on him, it would work on anybody.
Porque si funciona para él, funciona para cualquier persona.
Well, I told him put it on where it hurts. I didn't tell him anything about it. I didn't tell him anything about the business.
No le dio ninguna información del negocio, simplemente le dijo, toma el imán y póntelo donde te duele.
And in 2 days, my father was back to normal.
Y en 2 días mi papá regresó a su normalidad.
Not only that, but he called me from work and he asked me if I could get some more of these pads because he had friends at work that wanted to buy them.
Y le habló al trabajo y le dijo, necesito más de estos productos porque tengo amigos que estoy seguro que me los van a comprar.
Now, this was a very important moment. That's why I remember it so vividly.
Y fue un momento muy importante y por eso lo recuerda tan vivamente.
You see, I heard something on the video those 2 nights earlier.
Él escuchó algo en el video 2 noches antes.
The man said on the video, you can sell anything to anyone.
El señor del video decía, tú le puedes vender lo que tú quieras a cualquiera.
And they may like it, and they may even tell somebody about it.
Y a lo mejor les gusta y le platican a otra persona de él.
But if you can take away someone's pain, they'll tell everyone about it.
Pero si a alguien le quitas el dolor, a todo mundo se lo van a platicar.
And that's exactly what my father was doing.
Y eso fue lo que su papá hizo.
And so it was like the light bulb went off in my head and I knew this was going to be huge.
Y el foco se le prendió y dijo, esto va a ser enorme.
Now, Nikken was already huge, so it was good for me.
Nikken ya en aquel entonces era grande, así que
So now I did not think about Nikken as a career.
y él no vio esto así como una carrera.
I did not, if you would have told me then, Mike, you're going to be a Nikken the rest of your life, I would have told you, you're crazy.
Y si en aquel entonces me hubieras dicho, vas a estar con Nikken para el resto de tu vida, yo te hubiera dicho que estás loco.
I would have told you, I have bigger things to do.
Él tiene mejores cosas que hacer.
I'm not going to sell magnets the rest of my life.
No voy a vender imanes el resto de mi vida.
Little did I know.
Pero no sabía.
If you ask me what my expectation was financially, I was just hoping to make $4,000 or $5,000 a month. If I could do that, then I could do my music.
Y su expectativa fue que, bueno, si gano $4,000, $5,000 al mes, puedo continuar y regresar a mi música.
And so that's it. That's all I could see for myself.
Y esa fue su visión y lo que podía ver para él mismo.
But everything changed in my first month.
Pero todo cambió ese primer mes.
I got to meet some very incredible people who were doing very well.
Conoció a gente increíble que les iba muy bien.
I had some incredible product experiences.
Tuvo buenísimas experiencias con el producto.
And I earned considerably more that first month.
Y ganó más de lo que él pensaba.
So I knew that this was going to be more than I expected.
Y él sabía que esto iba a ser más de lo que él esperaba.
Now, I went on to make a lot of money my first year. In fact, I made almost $250,000 my first year.
El primer año ganó $250,000.
And I applied all of my engineering mind to this business.
Usó su mente de ingeniería para este negocio.
There was no one to follow in Canada, so I had to lead the way.
No había otra persona que lo hiciera, así que él se hizo su camino.
Now, I want to take you again back to that first month because that first month was very, very critical to my entire story.
Ahora vamos a regresar al primer mes porque ese primer mes fue crítico para el resto de esta historia.
And it's something that I have always taught because of it, and I continue to teach people, make your first 3 months in the business count.
Y es algo que él siempre ha enseñado a la gente que esos primeros 3 meses deben de contar.
You can change the history of your life and your family's life in those 3 months.
Puedes cambiar la historia de tu vida y de la de tu familia en esos 3 meses.
What I mean, you can change your trajectory in life.
Puedes cambiar el rumbo de tu vida en esos 3 meses.
So what I did, I learned to do, and that was to create a team.
Y él decidió hacer un equipo.
So the first thing I thought to do was, because I was not a businessman, I was not a salesperson.
Y lo primero que él hizo, porque él no era vendedor, él no sabía nada de esto,
I figured I need to find people like that. I need to find people who were more capable than me.
necesito encontrar a gente así, que sean capaces de vender y no como yo.
In other words, I need to get help.
Necesito ayuda.
So my vision was to make Nikken special in Canada, to get Nikken on the map in Canada.
Y su misión era hacer Nikken importante en Canadá.
And to do that, I was going to need help.
Y para hacer eso necesitaba ayuda.
I needed help from people with business experience,
Necesitaba ayuda con personas de negocios,
people with influence,
personas con influencia
people with money.
y personas con dinero.
So I made a list.
Así que hizo una lista.
154 names.
154 nombres.
And from that list, I determined who was the people that were most influential.
Y de esa lista, how many people were there?
154.
De esa lista sacó los nombres de las personas más influenciales.
Also who were entrepreneurial, who were most entrepreneurial.
Y que sabían de negocios.
And who had some money.
Y que tenían dinero.
Or wanted to make some money.
O que querían hacer dinero.
So that was really what I focused on. I wasn't looking for people who had physical problems.
Y ese fue su enfoque. Realmente no estaba buscando a personas con problemas físicos.
Because my first goal was to create a team, not to find customers.
Porque su objetivo era crear un equipo, no buscar clientes.
And so my technique, if you will, was to call people and ask for their help.
Y su técnica fue hablar con la gente y pedirles ayuda.
And the first person I called was the person who I thought had the most influence, the most entrepreneurial skills, and the most money.
Y a la primera persona que le habló fue a la persona que tenía más influencia, que sabía de negocios y que tenía dinero.
Now, you might think, why would you go to him first?
Y ustedes han de pensar, ¿y por qué fuiste con esa persona primero?
And the answer is because I needed help. And he was the person who could most help me if he saw the value of it.
Y él era la única persona que lo podía ayudar y que le podía brindar el apoyo si él lo necesitaba.
Or if he saw the vision, if he could catch the vision.
Y si veía la visión.
So, by the way, that person's name is Bruce Black.
Y esa persona es Bruce Black.
A wonderful human being.
Un humano muy buena onda.
So I called him and told him that I had something special, that it could really impact millions of people, and someone like him could be the reason.
Y le platicó que tenía un producto que podía impactar la vida de muchas personas. Millions, millones.
Don't forget the last part. And because of someone like him, that could happen.
Y por una persona como él, lo iba a lograr.
You see, influential people want to influence the situation in life.
Las personas que les gusta influenciar te van a ayudar a influenciar lo que sea.
So I think that Nikken is a way to influence people's lives in a very important way.
Y Nikken es buenísimo, un buenísimo producto para influenciar a la gente.
And I knew that 28 and a half years ago.
Y él supo esto hace 28 años y medio.
So I just did what was instinct.
Y él hizo lo que se le hizo un instinto.
And I can tell you, 28 and a half years later, I still teach this.
Y les puede decir que 28 años y medio después se los puede enseñar.
Because it's the best way to find team members.
Porque es la mejor manera de buscar a personas para el equipo.
Is to ask people for help.
Es preguntarles por ayuda.
They're going to want to know help in what way and what with.
Y van a preguntar ayuda con qué y cómo.
And that's, of course, where Nikken comes in.
Y eso es donde viene Nikken.
So I went to see Bruce when he said, "Sure, kid, come on over. Show me what you got."
Y fue a ver a Bruce cuando le dijo, sí, claro, ven y visítame.
And he had a problem with his knee that I didn't know about.
Y él tenía un problema con la rodilla que no sabía.
But he told me about it right after I told him what happened with me and what happened with my father.
Y se lo platicó después de que Mike le platicó lo que le pasó a él con su accidente y lo de su papá.
And he asked, "Do you think this can help my knee?"
Y le preguntó, ¿tú crees que pueda ayudar a mi rodilla?
I said, "I don't know. Let's try."
Y le dije, no sé, vamos a intentarlo.
So we scotch taped this magnet on his knee.
Entonces se lo pegaron con tape a la rodilla.
Now he was not taking his medication from his doctor because it upset his stomach.
Y él no estaba tomando las medicinas que le había recomendado el doctor porque le afectaban el estómago.
But within few minutes, about 5 minutes,
Pero después de 5 minutos,
he stood up on
paró.
his legs, on his feet, and he started banging his foot on the ground.
se paró y empezó a golpear el pie contra el piso.
And this look on his face was so surprised.
Y su gesto, su cara estaba sorprendido.
And he was saying, I can't believe this. I can't believe this.
Y decía, no lo puedo creer, no lo puedo creer.
And I wasn't sure what he meant.
Y él no sabía a qué se refería.
But then he said he couldn't get his knee to hurt. It stopped hurting.
Y decía que pues ya no le dolía su rodilla, que le había parado el dolor.
And he got very excited.
Y estaba súper emocionado.
Then he sat down and started asking me a lot of questions.
Y luego se sentó y le hizo muchísimas preguntas.
They were all great questions, but I didn't have the answers.
Todas buenísimas, pero no sabía cómo responderlas.
So I did the next thing I knew to do.
Y entonces hizo lo siguiente.
I got my cell phone, which was a lot bigger than this one.
Sacó su celular, que era más grande que ese.
And I called the person in the States who was doing well.
Y le habló a una persona de los Estados Unidos que estaba bien.
I introduced him to Bruce and I let them talk.
Y los presentó y los dejó hablar.
So my first day, my first invitation resulted in my first sign-up.
Y su primera invitación y presentación resultó en la primera firma.
Now, the next day,
El siguiente día,
Bruce invited me to a meeting.
Bruce lo invitó a una junta.
He wanted to introduce me to somebody he wanted to involve in Nikken.
Y quería presentarlo a otra persona que quería tomar parte de Nikken.
A young man who was his real estate agent, and he had 2 young boys that he was raising as a single dad.
Un señor que se dedicaba a vender casas y tenía 2 hijos.
And he was raising them as a single dad.
Y era soltero.
That young man's name was Botanis.
Y se llama Botanis.
Many of you probably have heard that name.
Algunos de ustedes han escuchado ese nombre.
That was my second day talking about Nikken.
Y ese fue su segundo día hablando de Nikken.
Now, if you look at that organization alone, of course, from Botanis comes Gloria Nava.
Si ven a esto solamente, primero Botanis y luego Nava.
So you can imagine that was a very good day for me.
Se pueden imaginar, ese día fue estupendo para mí.
But who would have known that
Pero
28 and a half years ago?
¿Quién iba a saber eso hace 28 años y medio?
He was broke.
Él no tenía dinero.
And he was struggling in life in general.
Y le costaba trabajo vivir.
He didn't really have any physical problems, but he had a real big financial problem.
No tenía problemas físicos, pero sí de dinero.
So I'm telling you this story because it's the details that count.
Y te digo esta historia porque son los detalles los que cuentan.
If I didn't ask for help from the most influential person I knew, I would not have been introduced to Botanis.
Si no hubiera hablado con la persona con más influencia que yo conocía, no hubiera conocido a Botanis.
Now, by the end of the second week, I had a small team of about 10 people.
Al final de la segunda semana tenía a un equipo de 10 personas.
And this was the end of December, so we were coming into the new year, 1992.
Y este fue a final de año, en diciembre, ya para entrar a enero, en 1992.
And we met as a team, and we decided as a team that we were going to do events, public events.
Y nos reunimos como equipo para hablar de que íbamos a hacer eventos como equipo.
And we each committed to invite new people to the event schedule.
Y nos propusimos invitar a más personas a estos eventos.
Now, even if nobody brought a guest, we would at least be 10 people.
Aunque nadie trajera a ninguna otra persona, de todas formas íbamos a ser 10 personas.
But we did bring guests. In our first meeting, we had 42 people.
Pero sí trajimos a más personas y en esa primer junta tuvimos 42 personas.
I could spend an hour just on that event alone.
Y me pude haber tardado 1 hora solamente en ese evento.
One of the biggest snowstorms that ever hit Toronto.
Y fue una de las noches donde cayó una nevada, la peor nevada en Toronto.
I want you to imagine me in a suit, long hair,
Imagínense a mí con mi traje, pelo largo,
pushing my Trans Am in the snow to get it out of the snow because it was stuck.
empujando a su carro en la nieve porque estaba atorado.
At 6 o'clock in the morning so I could get to the city for this meeting.
A las 6 de la mañana para poder ir a esta junta.
That meeting was crazy.
Esa junta estuvo medio loca.
But we were committed.
Pero estábamos
Compromiso.
comprometidos.
Oh, comprometidos.
Sí.
And because of that, people showed up.
Y por eso la gente llegó.
And that continued. Every week we had 2 or 3 meetings, important meetings.
Y eso continuó 2 o 3 juntas
And 1 training.
a la semana y un entrenamiento.
And then we planned a major event in the middle of the month where we had a guest speaker.
Y luego planeamos un evento grande a mediados de mes donde traíamos a alguien a hablar.
Now today we have a name for this type of a calendar. We call it the rhythm of the business.
Y ahora a esto lo llamamos el ritmo del negocio.
So there's daily activities that lead to the weekly activities that lead to the monthly activities.
Hay actividades diarias que te llevan a las actividades semanales, a las actividades mensuales.
How many of you are familiar with this concept?
¿Cuántos de ustedes son familiares con este concepto?
Anyone?
¿Alguien?
Many of you. And so that was the key. That was the key to a successful launch.
Esa fue la clave, la llave para tener
A successful launch.
un buen
Lancimiento,
despego.
explosion. By the third week, we had 230 people come to a meeting.
Por la tercera semana tuvieron 230 personas llegar a esta junta.
By the end of the first month, I had 300 people in my downline.
Y al final del primer mes tenía 300.
125,000 points in volume.
125,000 puntos en volumen.
Now, how would you like to have a launch like that?
¿Cómo les gustaría a ustedes empezar así?
Maybe you've already had your first 90 days.
A lo mejor ya tuvieron sus primeros 90 días.
That's okay.
Y está bien.
What about if you helped somebody else launch like that?
¿Y qué tal si ustedes le ayudan a otra persona?
And you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to do 125,000, but could you help somebody go silver?
Pero le pueden ayudar a otra persona a hacer silver. ¿Lo llaman igual?
Platino.
¿De plata?
Plata.
Uh-huh.
So, and I say that because when you were brand new, maybe you are brand new, it's very unfamiliar to you. But the more familiar it becomes, the easier it is to help somebody else.
Cuando eres nuevo, a lo mejor no es tan familiar para uno, pero ya cuando llevas un tiempo, es otra la historia.
So my second month, oh, by the way, in my first month, I sponsored 26 people.
126?
No. So by the time from the first person to the end of my first full month in Nikken, so by the end of January, I'd sponsored 26 people personally.
Él sponsorió a 26 personas de principios de enero a finales de enero, o sea, el primer mes.
And in my second month, I sponsored 9 more.
Y en el siguiente mes, otros 9.
Now, why?
¿Y por qué?
Because it was going to change my life and everybody's life.
Porque iba a cambiar mi vida y la vida de los demás.
And I knew that. And I knew that if I didn't do it, it would just be another thing that might pass.
Y él lo sabía y no lo dejó pasar.
So it's really important to help somebody get a good start, because otherwise Nikken can be just something they did for a day or a week or a month, and then it just passes away.
Entonces es bueno ayudar a las personas a continuar, a seguir adelante, porque si no, esto se muere. Lo hacen una temporada muy corta.
So by the third month, I had qualified to go to the trip to Japan.
Al tercer mes ya lo calificaron para poder ir de viaje a Japón.
And they had the World Convention that year.
Y tuvieron la convención mundial ese año.
So I had an opportunity to meet our founder of Nikken, Mr. Masuda.
Y tuvo la oportunidad de conocer al fundador, al señor Masuda.
I'm holding the gold mag boys that he gave me.
Y eso se lo dio. Looks like a bobblehead.
Yeah, this was special. There was no gold mag boys in Nikken until he gave me these ones.
Y fue muy especial para él porque cuando se lo dieron.
These were his.
Eran de él.
Anyways, what I saw there was the future.
Y lo que él vio fue el futuro.
There were 3,000 people from all over the world and only a handful from Canada.
Había 3,000 personas de todo el mundo y solamente 3 de Canadá.
We were 5, actually.
Oh, 5, perdón.
And one of those were Bruce, and one of them was Bo, and the other one was me.
Bruce, Bo y él.
Anyways, what I saw was the future of Nikken, the future of our life, that Nikken would become a global phenomenon.
Lo que vio fue su futuro, el futuro de Nikken, y convertir esto todo un fenómeno.
And I can tell you what an impression that made on me.
Y eso creó una gran impresión en mí.
Remember, I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be on stage in front of people and sing.
Recuerden, él quería cantar, él quería estar cantando en frente de un mundo de gente.
At that convention, my very first one, the owner of Nikken, the current owner of Nikken, Tom Watanabe, asked me to speak to the audience and say a few words on behalf of Canada.
Y le pidieron que por favor hablara en público a todo Canadá.
No. On behalf of Canada. To speak to the
parte
audience
de
that was
Canadá.
there. Yes. So there's 3,000 people wearing earphones so they could hear the translation.
Hay 3,000 personas con audífonos para que pudieran escuchar la traducción.
And here I am in front of them talking, not on behalf of me, but on behalf of my country.
Y ahí estaba él hablando de parte de todo Canadá.
I felt like I was at the United Nations.
Se sintió como si estuviera en las Naciones Unidas.
And I can tell you, when I got back home to Toronto, I couldn't wait to talk to people about this.
Y cuando regresó a Toronto, no podía esperar para platicarles a todos de esto.
The more I spoke to people, the more we saw the results of the products, the more people succeeded in the business, the more in love I became with this.
Lo más que hablaba del producto, lo más que a la gente le gustaba, y hablaban todos del
And the
producto.
more I became in love with the idea.
Y más se fue enamorando de la idea.
And then I started to really understand humans being more.
Y fue ahí donde él empezó a entender a humanos siendo más.
It's about the evolution of your spirit, your soul.
Es acerca de la evolución de tu espíritu, de tu alma.
And so that continued in 1993. By the way, I went platinum that year, that first year.
Él se fue platinum
Platinum.
ese año.
So I went gold in 4 months, silver my first month, gold in 4 months, and platinum in my first year.
Y oro en 3 meses y platinum en
6 months.
En 6 meses.
And then Nikken announced they were opening up Mexico.
Y después Nikken anunció que iban a abrir campo en México.
So I told my team,
y le
I'm
dijo
going
a
to
su
Mexico.
Equipo, le dijo a su equipo, voy a ir a México.
And I organized a small team to go to Mexico.
Y organizó un equipo pequeño para ir a México.
There were 4 of us.
Había 4 de nosotros.
Alan Racco.
Alan Racco.
Me.
Él.
Pupe Argamasilla. But Gavaretta, you would know her, isn't it? Pupe Gavaretta. And Bob Collet, who was my upline. And we organized the launch of Mexico.
Y ellos organizaron el anuncio a México.
Digamos la apertura.
La apertura.
La apertura de Nikken Mexico. Vivevo en México por 6 meses. In Polanco. Right next to the Nikken head office.
You lived there for 6 months?
Yeah.
Y él vivió ahí por 6 meses.
Enfrente de las oficinas de Nikken.
Sí, sí. And I had such a wonderful experience.
Y tuvo una experiencia padre.
In that campaign, Gloria Nava was introduced to Nikken.
En esa campaña introdujeron a Gloria Nava.
Laura, I don't think you were involved yet with Nikken, but your mother was.
Yes, exactly.
So there was a lot of incredible stories that were born in those first 6 months because of the effort that we as a team made.
Y hubieron muchas historias increíbles gracias al equipo que él creó.
And so I continued to develop a strategy for teaching, for training.
Él siguió mejorando la estrategia para enseñar.
Yeah, so a lot of the training that you're familiar with has roots with the work that I originally did.
Y lo que ahorita están aprendiendo tiene que ver mucho con lo que él empezó.
In fact, most of my teaching was published in a book.
Él escribió ese libro y todo lo que enseña está basado en él.
It's called The Science of the Nikken Business.
La ciencia del negocio Nikken.
Of course, it has to be a science for an
Claro,
engineer.
tiene que ser una ciencia para un ingeniero.
And in it, I teach all my strategy.
Y enseña en ese libro todas sus estrategias.
But the key to the strategy is to understand that you have a window to help somebody really launch their business and to really take that window seriously.
La llave de la estrategia es que tienes solamente una ventanita de oportunidad para el negocio.
No, to help somebody launch.
Para ayudar a alguien
Yeah.
con
A
So-
lanzar el negocio.
el negocio. Ujú.
Yeah, because otherwise their interest will go to something else. Let's see. So I launched Mexico, and then I launched back in Canada. I came back to Canada and I launched Vancouver. I launched Quebec.
Primero lanzó México, luego lanzó Vancouver, luego Montreal.
And then I went to Europe. I helped launch in Europe
Y luego Europa,
with France and England.
Francia, Inglaterra.
Then I went to Australia when that was available to us, and I helped launch Australia.
Y luego Australia.
So I've been, and then I've traveled on behalf of Nikken around the world and helped share my story to other parts of Nikken in the world.
Y ha viajado a todo el mundo de parte de Nikken y enseñando los productos.
Now there was a really, the other thing that I've done that was, I think, really important for Nikken was I helped create an organization called Team Diamond.
Y él ayudó a organizar el equipo de Diamante.
Yeah. And that was important to create leadership and tremendous growth.
Y eso fue importante para enseñar liderazgo
And vision.
y visión.
And we were able to do events every 3 months, big events every 3 months.
Y hicieron eventos cada 3 meses, pero enormes.
And then I created the Royal Alliance.
Y creó la alianza.
And this is more today for today's environment, which is online.
Más para hacer las cosas en línea.
I introduced my team in Mexico to WhatsApp. How many of you use WhatsApp? Everybody uses WhatsApp now.
Él introdujo al equipo de México al WhatsApp. ¿Cuántos usan el
And then
WhatsApp?
we did Zoom, and now everybody uses Zoom.
Y luego
So-
Zoom.
And a few years ago, I was invited to mentor a lady by the name of Veronica Ampudia.
Hace unos años me tocó asesorar a Verónica
Ampudia.
Ampudia.
And that invitation led to a reintroduction to Nikken in Latin America and Mexico.
Y esa introducción ayudó a reintegrar Nikken en México.
It was for me to re-familiarize myself with.
Para él que se refamiliarizara.
And I'm so grateful to her that happened, because I've since been to Mexico and Latin America a few visits now, and it's one of the best parts of it's the most exciting part of my business.
La parte más importante de su negocio es en México y es gracias a ella.
And other parts of Latin America.
Y otras partes de Latinoamérica.
And a few years ago, we did an invitational to the Latinos to come to Toronto, and we held it. Myself and Botanis sponsored an event called Humans Being More Invitational, and we invited you to come, and you came.
Invitaron a varias personas, varios latinos a Toronto a una junta de estas que se llama, what's it called?
Humans Being More, the Toronto
Humanos,
Summit. It was also known as the Toronto Summit.
Humanos siendo más.
And we had a wonderful event and a Humans Being More Awards presentation.
Y fue un evento muy bueno y dieron trofeos.
So So what I do now, how I live now, what do I do now is probably a question on your mind.
Y ahora, ¿qué es lo que hago ahora? Ha de ser una pregunta que tienen en su mente.
I'm always looking for ways to improve the business. So I work with Luis Kasuga. I work with other leaders in Nikken.
Estoy viendo cómo mejorar el negocio. Trabajo con Luis Kasuga y otras personas en Nikken.
And we're always looking to innovate and learn from other organizations in the world and other businesses in the world to keep Nikken moving forward. So I'm somebody who's always active that way.
Estamos viendo cómo innovar y buscar nuevas ideas para Nikken. Siempre está al pendiente de eso.
I'm invited to calls like this to tell my story.
Lo invitan a llamadas como esta para dar su historia.
I love doing live presentations when I look forward to getting back on an airplane and coming and doing a live presentation.
Ama las presentaciones en vivo cuando se tiene que subir a un avión e ir a las presentaciones.
Yeah, remember I wanted to be a singer, right?
Porque acuérdense que él quería cantar.
I was on a training call. I do a lot of training calls. So I host a show every week where it's called Aligning with Success.
Él hace muchas llamadas para entrenar a la gente que se llama Alianza.
Aligning with Success. Aligning with success.
Con éxito. Con éxito.
And sometimes a lot of that training involves more about the law of attraction. I teach the law of attraction.
Y mucho de este entrenamiento tiene que ver con la ley de atracción.
Because we do attract into our life what we expect.
Porque atraemos a nuestras vidas lo que esperamos.
And most of us have grown to expect little.
Y muchos de nosotros esperamos muy pocas cosas.
And that's not your fault. I think that's just the condition of the way we're raised. Our parents always wanted the best for us, but they were so conservative in their approach that we become conservative.
Y eso no es culpa de uno, simplemente que así nos crían con ideas conservadoras.
And so society is that way. Society imposes its restrictions, its rules. And so people tend to, live below what's possible.
La sociedad impone estas reglas y hacen estos sueños imposibles.
So imagine you join a business that has so much potential, but you keep yourself wrapped up in a small package.
Imagínate que te invitan a un negocio con mucho potencial, pero tú te mantienes cerrada.
And so the real challenge for the leaders is to help you see yourself as a leader.
Entonces, el problema más grande es enseñarles a ver que todos tienen liderazgo, que pueden ser líderes.
Do you know of all the population on Earth, you are very, very few that know about Nikken.
De toda la población del mundo, muy pocas personas saben de Nikken.
And you are people who know about it.
Y ustedes son de las personas que sí conocen.
You know about the products.
Conocen de los productos.
You know about the balance in the 5 pillars of wellness.
Y conocen el balance de los pilares del bienestar.
So you are ahead of most of the population.
Así que van más avanzados que el resto de la población.
Maybe you don't see yourself that way, but you are.
No lo ven así, pero así lo es.
Which means you're a leader in this field.
Así que eres un líder en esta rama.
What's so wonderful about the situation that the world is in right now
Y lo bonito de la situación del mundo en este momento
is that the whole world is now realizing how important health is.
Es que el resto del mundo está apenas viendo la importancia del bienestar
And they're looking for a better way
y están buscando un mejor camino
to keep themselves healthy.
para mantenerse bien sanos.
The world is also realizing that they're vulnerable where their income is concerned.
Y el mundo se está dando cuenta que son vulnerables con respecto al dinero
And many businesses are vulnerable.
en muchos negocios. Y muchos negocios también son vulnerables.
And yet, in these last 7 months, the Nikken business has never been better.
Y en estos 7 meses, a Nikken sí le ha ido muy bien.
This is one of the most important months we've never had a July in 10 years like this July.
Nunca han tenido un julio como este julio.
How do you explain that?
¿Cómo lo explican?
When your friends may be talking about how bad everything is, you should be telling them how great everything is in Nikken.
Cuando todo el mundo te está diciendo lo malo que ahorita está el mundo, ustedes deben de explicarles lo bien que Nikken es.
And the reason why this is true is because we really have something that's not only unique, but it's important.
Y la razón por esto es porque no nada más es único, pero también importante.
Now, think about this. Nikken is 45 years old.
Nikken tiene 45 años.
And it's more important today than it was 45 years ago.
Y es más importante hoy que hace 45 años.
So the future of Nikken is very bright.
El futuro de Nikken es muy bueno.
Which means if you choose to be a leader in this future, then your future is very bright.
Si tú escoges ser un líder en el futuro, tu futuro será muy bueno.
And what does it mean to be a leader?
¿Y qué significa ser un líder?
To be an example.
Ser un ejemplo.
Influence people by the example you set.
Influencia viene del ejemplo que tú enseñas.
The things you speak about.
Las cosas que hablas.
What you teach.
Lo que enseñas.
The products you share with people.
Los productos que les enseñas a la gente.
The opportunity to be involved in a business model that makes sense.
La oportunidad de estar en un negocio, en un modelo de negocio que sí funciona.
The more confident you are and the more you communicate that confidence to others, the more influential you'll be.
Y entre más confidente seas, lo mejor del producto será.
Okay, I'll take that. You become a product of the product, so you're more effective. So, where do we go from here?
¿Y ahora dónde vamos de aquí?
May I make a suggestion?
Les puedo sugerir algo.
Whatever goal you have set,
Cualquier objetivo que ustedes tengan en mente,
double it.
duplíquenlo.
You have more than that in the way of potential.
Tienen más de eso en de su potencial.
But I'm sure you haven't set a goal that's sufficient.
Pero no han tenido una meta suficiente.
And let me just tell you something that my mentor once told me.
Y él quiere decirles algo que su mentor le enseñó.
He said, it's not whether you achieve the goal, it's the person you have to become to achieve the goal.
No es obtener la meta, sino la persona que
No, it's not important whether you achieve the goal.
no es importante obtener la meta.
What's important is the person you have to become to achieve the goal.
Lo importante es la persona que uno tiene que
Llegar a ser.
para llegar a esa meta.
Yeah. By the way, I have a card in my hand here. I guess we can answer a question or two before we wrap up, but I have a card in my hand. This is my goal card, my actual original goal card. So if you want to see what it looks like, it's pretty.
Es su tarjeta donde tiene su meta.
So this is the one that I carried with me when I set a goal for Royal Diamond.
Esa es la que carga con él para llegar a...
La que cargó.
La que cargó para llegar al diamante.
Diamante real.
Diamante real.
Diamante real.
And I wrote on the card my goal.
Y escribió su meta en la tarjetita.
And I wrote it in the way we're taught to write a goal, as if you've already achieved it.
A escribir la meta como nos enseñan a escribir metas, como si ya la hubiéramos logrado.
So the first words are, I am thrilled and filled with joy and satisfaction.
Estoy feliz y lleno de satisfacción
to have completed my objective of Royal Diamond.
por haber alcanzado mi meta de diamante real.
And I had my mentor sign it.
Y su mentor lo firmó.
Now, on the back of my card,
Y atrás de la tarjeta,
I also wrote something. It's hard to read, but it's there.
escribió algo que no se puede leer muy bien, pero ahí está.
It says, faith of a mustard seed.
La fe de un grano de mostaza. Es lo que dice ahí.
Now, I wrote that to remind myself of a truth.
Él escribió eso para recordarse de algo real.
If you remember in the Bible, the story of Jesus when he was on the Sermon on the Mount.
Si se acuerdan, en la Biblia, Jesús estaba.
He did a sermon called the Sermon on the Mount.
Hizo un sermón de la montaña.
The Sermon on the Mount.
El sermón de la montaña.
The Sermon on the Mount. Okay? He said, if you say to this mountain, move. Wait, let me back up. He said, if you have but the faith of a mustard seed.
Él dijo, si tienes la fe de un grano de mostaza.
You can say to this mountain, move, and it will move.
Tú le puedes decir a esta montaña, muévete, y se moverá.
Well, this was a mountain for me.
Esto fue una montaña para mí.
But I believed the words were the truth.
Pero creí que las palabras eran verdaderas.
That if I have the faith, this mountain will move.
Que si tengo la fe, esta montaña se moverá.
In other words, if I believe in the law and I obey the law with trust, with faith, then the law will manifest the objective.
Si creo en la ley se manifestará en el objetivo.
Let me give you an example.
Déjenme darles un ejemplo.
If I take a seed and I plant it in the ground,
si planto una semilla, gracias,
in the ground,
en la tierra,
an act of faith would be that I water the ground every day.
Mi acto de fe sería que le pongo agua todos los días.
Every day.
todos los días.
I don't worry. I just keep doing that.
Y lo sigo haciendo.
That's faith.
Eso es fe.
Because I trust what's going on is making a plant.
Porque yo creo que lo que está sucediendo ayuda a formar una planta.
Now, if I have doubt,
Si tengo duda,
what I might do is dig up the earth to see if the roots are growing.
si tengo duda, escarbaré para ver si si se están formando las raíces debajo
And
de la
destroy
tierra
the plant.
y destruiría la planta.
How many of us do that?
¿Cuántos de nosotros hacemos eso?
We act in doubt and in fear, not in faith.
Actuamos en duda, en miedo y no en fe.
Faith is trusting. Do
La
you
fe-
trust your future?
La fe es tener confianza en el futuro.
So this is the secret to success, my friends. This is it.
Este es el secreto.
You set an objective.
Tener un objetivo, una meta,
It's like planting the seed,
como plantar una semilla.
and you water it every day.
Y le ponen agua todos los días.
What does that mean? Means
¿Qué
your
significa?
thoughts. It means your thoughts,
Significa sus pensamientos,
your words,
sus palabras
your actions,
y sus acciones
your feelings
y sus sentimientos
are in alignment,
están en línea.
as if you already achieved the goal.
Como si ya hubieran logrado esa meta.
That's it.
Eso es todo.
And if you do that, I promise you, you will be amazed.
Y si haces esto, vas a ver que estarás sorprendido.
Monica, do you want to end the call? Do you want to have somebody ask a question? What? Do you want to ask a question?
Gracias, Mike. Sí, de tu libro, ¿existe traducción en español del libro que escribiste?
I don't think so.
Okay.
This is a training that I gave that somebody else took the recordings and made the book. Actually, that's who somebody else is. It's Antonio Raimondo. Can you see him? You can find this on Amazon, though. You can find this online.
Okay.
It's The Science of the Nikken Business. And
La ciencia del negocio Nikken, el libro lo venden en línea, pero no lo venden en español.
No.
Okay.
In Amazon, right?
Pardon me?
Ajá.
In Amazon.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, it's out there. Yeah. So, any question?
¿Alguna
Chapala.
pregunta?
Who's that from 6BQE? I don't know who that is, but you want to open the market somewhere. That's the question? Or is that a statement? I live in Chapala and retire town. I want to open the market here. Do it. Absolutely. Everywhere they need to know about Nikken. Tips? You just heard my story. I think all the tips are there. Make a list. Ask yourself who could help influence the situation, and then ask them for their help. And they're going to say, well, tell me more. What's it about? And you tell them, this is about creating a global community, a global wellness community. It's a movement. We have products, we have technology, we have a service, we have an incredible online presence where people can operate a business from the comfort of their home worldwide.
Mike,
I know,
Mike,
you have to
they have to translate.
Sorry. Is that Erica Racco?
Yes.
Why don't you show your face?
Because I'm driving. I'm sorry, I'm driving.
Okay.
You've been driving the whole afternoon, Erika.
I know. I have a son that keeps me busy, very busy.
Take him a license to drive.
Say what?
Okay, so you want me to repeat that? I'll
Yes,
repeat
please.
that. Okay, so I said, in Spanish now. So I said, my tips are make a list.
Su tip es, haz una lista
Of people you think can help you influence the market.
de personas que te puedan influenciar
The market.
en
Personas que pueden influenciar el mercado.
el mercado. Sí, gracias.
¿Verdad?
And then ask those people for their help.
Y a preguntarle a esas personas por ayuda.
They're going to want to know help with what,
Van a querer saber ayuda con qué
and then you can explain to them what it is that we're doing.
y luego les explicas esto que estamos haciendo.
We're creating a global wellness community.
Estamos creando una comunidad global de bienestar.
We have the most exceptional technology.
Tenemos la tecnología más excepcional.
Products and an opportunity that we can do online.
Productos y la oportunidad de hacerlo en línea.
And people are looking for what we have.
Y la gente está buscando lo que tenemos.
Then introduce them to other people.
Y preséntalos a otra gente.
And that's how you do it.
Y así lo haces.
Do it every day, do it every week, do it every month.
Hazlo diario, cada semana, cada mes.
And then you'll have a global business.
Y luego tendrás un negocio global.
Just teach those simple things. It's not complicated.
Enseña estas cosas simples, no es nada complicado.
Ask people for help.
Pídele a la gente ayuda.
We're building a global wellness community and we can't do it alone.
Estamos haciendo un negocio mundial de bienestar y no lo podemos hacer solos.
And there are many benefits.
Y hay muchos beneficios.
Any thoughts? Any other questions, anyone, before we wrap up?
¿Alguna otra pregunta?
What's next with the next Toronto Summit, or what's next? I assume that is by Zoom.
Well, we were asked if we would. We've scheduled it twice, the summit, and so because this thing continues, we've not been able to fulfill that. Mm-hmm. So the question is, will we go online? What we've done instead, that's a great question, by the way, but what we started to do in Canada and in North America is a monthly event online that we call the Nikken Zoom-in. So we have an event that we do in English once a month. It's the third Saturday of the month, every month at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. It's called the Nikken Zoom-in. It's 1 hour and 15 minutes. And there's 3 components to the event. The first component is, this one's going to be a little different. The first component is going to be stories. People's success stories, different people. Then the next segment is a presentation of the Nikken, an overview of the Nikken opportunity. And then the third segment is going to be a doctor's or a health professionals panel. So it's an online event that people can invite guests to.
Lo que le pregunté a Mike es que como hubo un evento, el que él refirió, Toronto Summit, en donde es como hacer Nikken global, y le preguntaba yo que para este año, ¿qué seguía con ese evento? Y pues dice que ahora son en línea, cada tercer sábado de mes, y puede ser compuesto por historias o invitan a profesionales de la salud y es el tercer sábado a las 12. 12 p.m. Gracias. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Any other question? Do I use Facebook to announce products? Example, because if one person say who sell Nikken, I use Facebook a little different than most people. I've used Facebook more just as a way of staying connected with people in Nikken and people who I know, not so much as a way to promote. That's not true. I'm not looking for sales, but I encourage people to learn about Nikken this way. So it's not something that I depend on.
Okay. Él no usa el Facebook para... él usa el Facebook para conectarse de Nikken, no ventas, sino más para enseñar.
So there's a concept, top of mind, to keep Nikken top of mind.
Nikken siempre está como en su cabeza.
En la cabeza de my connections, all of my,
de todas sus conexiones.
Yeah. I have tried using Facebook, or actually Instagram. I have tried posting on Instagram for the products, and so far, yeah, I haven't had much success with that yet. Still working on it though.
Sí, he intentado subir productos a Instagram, pero todavía no le ha funcionado muy bien.
But I'll tell you what I did do that worked.
Pero algo que sí le funcionó.
I ran an ad in Chile looking to attract potential partners.
Subió un anuncio en Chile para atraer como más personas a Nikken.
Not más, just specifically partners.
Potenciales.
Potenciales.
Clientes.
Yeah. And so from that, I now have a business in Chile.
Y ahora tiene negocio en Chile.
Personally sponsored. So yeah, there are things that you can do online to attract other people. And that's usually what I focus on.
Hay cosas que se pueden hacer en línea para atraer a más gente y ese es su enfoque.
I still believe that more people are looking for an opportunity than they're looking for a product.
Hay más gente que busca oportunidades que producto.
Someone's asking what I wrote in the ad. It wasn't much because you can't write much in the ads. Let me see if I can actually find it for you. I have to figure out how to use my phone. Months, years, wait. So let's go back to 2020. Okay, should be in here somewhere. By the way, this was one of the fun moments in my life.
Fue uno de los momentos padres de su vida.
There it is.
Oh, wow.
I had an hour alone with him. He was a friend of the family, actually, but that was me. That was me and Luciano Pavarotti in Barbados. And guess what I shared with him?
Nikken.
Of course, Nikken.
I have a history question.
Yes.
So Yoshi Yokoyama arrived to North America, and then he invited Dave Johnson en estar en Chile.
Estar en Chile.
Financiamiento de la empresa de bienestar japonés.
So that was the ad. And then the text when they read it, it said something about, an online opportunity to work with people to collaborate in opening up the market. And then if they wanted to know more, to click the button. And then if they click the button, they went to my landing page. So I set up a landing page. You need to translate that.
Le hacías clic en la propaganda que hizo en Chile y entrabas a otra página. Are you clicking on it?
I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to remember what I called it. Humans being more. / between that. Okay. So if they clicked on it, then it went to
Y si le hacían clic, entraba a esa página.
this page. Yeah. So there's a Nikken video.
Y hay un video de Nikken.
And then there's a little bit of information.
Y un poco de información.
And they can click on the link.
Y pueden hacerle clic al...
Where's the link? There's a link here anyway. So just some concepts about Nikken, very basic. Mostly, it's not even talking about Nikken, it's mostly talking about opportunity. But if you click on this link, they can then schedule an appointment with me.
Si le pican ahí, pueden hacer una cita con él.
And this is a Facebook tool. This is not even something I know much about. There it is. You click on the link and you can go ahead and schedule a meeting with me online.
Y puedes hacer una cita con él en línea.
And so then we did a Zoom.
Y luego se hace un Zoom.
So you can have fun trying different things. By the way, the reason why I thought about doing that was because when I launched Mexico, I did something similar.
Y cuando hizo lo de México, hizo algo similar.
But of course, we didn't have the internet. I had the newspaper.
Pero no.
We lost you for a second, Elsa. I said we didn't have the internet then. I used the newspaper.
No tenía el internet.
Yep, we lost her again.
No teníamos el internet, así que teníamos el newspaper.
El periódico.
El periódico.
Yeah. And it was just an opportunity to meet people.
Y fue una oportunidad para conocer gente.
Well then, you have another question, Monica?
Sí, el autor del otro libro, del Sermón de la Montaña.
Yes. Oh, that one. One of my favorites, Emmett Fox. Where is it? I have so many books on my desk. I can't. It's by Emmett Fox. This is a beautiful, beautiful book. I have a library, hundreds of books like this. This is what I spend my time reading.
Tiene cientos de libros en su biblioteca como estos.
So, I want to know a little of history. So I understand that Yoshi Yokoyama was the first human being that arrived to North America and started sharing Nikken. And then comes Dave Johnson. So between Dave Johnson in the United States, who is the one that opened Canada? Or how was the story?
Oh, who introduced? Okay, so that line came from, there's a lot of people who are no longer with Nikken for whatever reason or other. So I think, for instance, Gloria was, I don't know how many levels Gloria was down below Bo, but now she's first level. So
Yeah, 9 levels.
9 levels. So that's a lesson, by the way. You know, Dave Johnson always says, get in and stay in. Don't quit. Why would you quit? People do. People do crazy things all the time, and quitting Nikken is crazy. So, so there were so many people before that. The actual genealogy, what it looked like when I first got involved, Dave Johnson was maybe 5 people above me at least, maybe more. Let's see. There was Yoshi. There was 1 or 2 people, then Dave, then 1 or 2 people, then Reed, then Bob Collet, then the guy who was in Canada introducing me, then me. So, and now the genealogy is Yoshi, Dave, Ben, and me. Ben Woodward.
Thank you.
So, and then from me comes Bo is 1 line. The other line is Alan's line. So that's where most of the Latin American business follows, from either Bo's leg or from Alan's leg, Alan and Erica.
Yeah, because with both Tanas comes Gloria Nava, and with Alan Racco comes Tocora, and so
Yeah. Yeah. And I was told by Nikken that's a large chunk of the Latin American business, most of the business. So yes, I'm very happy that I went to Mexico in 1993, and you know, a little gringo who knew nothing said, I'm gonna make Nikken happen here. And today, 28 years later, Nikken is, you guys are the proud example of Nikken in the world. We now look to you. You know, I had a call today with Luis Kasuga, and I invited him to educate us, me and a group of others, on the progression in Latin America, how Nikken and the Nikken leaders in Latin America have developed your strong culture, your methodology to the business. Because we look at you all the time and we think, wow, they're doing so amazing. We'd like to understand, how did you formulate your business strategies, and how have you evolved? Because it's amazing. We're really so impressed.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you still sing?
Only on Christmas Eve.
Oh.
Karaoke. I actually have a karaoke machine. That's the only time I sing. My nephew does. My nephew right now is actually getting pretty famous. His band is called Crash Adams, and you can find him, Crash Adams, ADAMS, Crash Adams, and they've got really great music. So, and they're fun to watch. They've got like 100,000 followers on Instagram.
De la capacitación.
De la capacitación. Say it again. Capacitación.
De la capacitación semanal. ¿Podemos ser parte de esa capacitación?
The weekly, my weekly call.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's open. It's an open call. It's in English. It's an open call. If you get involved, then it'll take you maybe a few weeks to sort of get into the flow of the information, because I've been working with this group for years. So, but I bring different things to the call all the time. But the call is really about concepts of success, attracting success, understanding that success starts here. This is where success begins here. Let me explain, if you can translate this,
Okay.
please. If I give you a Ferrari,
Si él te da un Ferrari,
great vehicle, fast,
un carro padrísimo, rapidísimo,
it takes corners incredibly well, like a racing car.
es como un carro de carreras y da las vueltas muy bien.
What makes the car great or not great is the driver.
Lo que hace un carro muy bueno es el que lo maneja,
How it performs.
cómo funciona.
So even though you can have a great vehicle like Nikken,
Aunque tengas un buen carro, así como Nikken,
what will make it great is your ability to drive it.
lo que lo hace bueno es tu habilidad a manejarlo.
And so personal development, humans being more, is really key to maximizing the potential of this opportunity.
Humanos siendo más... can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Well, your development personally is the key to maximizing this opportunity.
Tu desarrollo es la llave para
maximize the opportunity.
Lograr esta oportunidad.
So what I've learned is you need to learn about who you are. That's the mystery.
Tienes que aprender quién eres. Ese es el misterio.
If you knew who you really were,
si supieras quién eres,
you would never play small again.
Nunca jugarías chiquito.
So let me just remind you.
Déjame te recuerdo.
Have you heard the expression, you are a child of God?
¿Has oído la expresión de que eres un hijo de Dios?
So if God is perfect, is God capable of imperfection?
Si Dios es perfecto, ¿es capaz de la imperfección?
So the only person who sees you as imperfect
La única
is you.
persona que se ve como imperfecta eres tú.
And you can blame others for that.
Y le puedes echar la culpa a los demás por eso.
But the truth is, nobody can convince you of anything unless you accept it.
Pero la verdad es que nadie te puede convencer de nada hasta que tú lo aceptes.
So now that you are an adult, you can learn to reject ideas that are not in agreement, are not in harmony with you.
Y ahora que eres un adulto, tú puedes escoger las ideas que no van con tu manera de pensar.
The reason I read books like this and others, so many others,
La razón por la cual leo esos libros
is because they remind us of the truth.
es porque le recuerdan la verdad.
That we and the Creator are inseparable.
Que nosotros y el Creador somos inseparables.
In fact, think about this for a moment.
Piensa en esto por un momento.
Where does God end and I begin?
¿Dónde termina Dios y dónde empiezo yo?
Let me ask that question again, because it should be a very big whoa if you understand this question.
Va a hacer la pregunta otra vez.
Where does God end and I begin?
¿Dónde termina Dios y dónde empiezo yo?
Dios está en mí.
What's that?
God is in me.
In you?
That's what she said.
That means God stops here then jumps inside of you.
I'm a part of God, no?
Yeah. God is
It's in here.
everything. Therefore, God is the sum total of all things. Therefore, you and God are, you ever heard the expression, I and the Father are one, though the Father is greater than I? Jesus said that. He wasn't talking about himself. He was
Mike,
talking about every one of us. So, if you understand
Si entiendes
that you and the Creator are
Que tú-
inseparable,
que tú y el Creador son inseparables,
that the power that allows you to be
que el poder que te permite ser
is the power that created everything.
es el poder que creó todo,
And that power gave you the opportunity to
Yes,
take the wheel and drive.
y ese poder fue el que te dio la oportunidad de agarrar tu carro y manejar.
But you don't drive like a professional
Pero no manejas como profesional,
because you don't believe you're a professional.
porque no crees que eres profesional.
Why? Why do you believe you're not a professional?
Porque no crees que eres profesional.
If God gave you the wheel, then drive like God gave you the wheel.
si Dios te dio el volante, entonces maneja.
Because you don't have a faith.
Exactly. We were taught, because you don't have faith. So we were taught that God is out there and we're over here. And as long as we believe this lie, we can never truly be who we are intended to be. Creators. We were born in the likeness and image of the Creator. We are the Creator. Therefore, it's our role to create. It's our job to create. It's our job. It's who we are to express the potential within us. Not to be afraid of it, but to express it. And Nikken is just a beautiful vehicle that allows us to do it. And we are supported. Look all the support you have. Betty, if you want to become a Royal Diamond, if you make that your goal, do you think you're going to have the support of everyone on this call?
Yes.
Yes, everybody's going to go like this. Yes, Betty. Yes.
Yes, every day.
Yes,
every day.
Elizabeth. Yes. Keita, yes. Mary, yes. Anna, yes. Gloria, yes. Elsa, yes. Laura, yes. Everybody here was going to say yes. We're all on board. We want to see you win. Now, if you said that to your family, I've made a decision. I'm going to be a Royal Diamond. They're going to say, yeah, I hope so one day. But if you say that to us, your Nikken family, you know what we're going to say? Go for it.
You're a diamond.
I'll help. This is a really great family. We
Yeah.
support each other. Well, we lost our Spanish translation, but that's okay. I hope some of you got this.
Thank you so much, Michael.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
It's been a long call. I don't know if you want to keep going because I don't know anybody's going to want to watch this playback. It's long. Thank you.
You are so kind. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Laura, anything else? Monica, anything else? Erica?
Pues yo me podría quedarme a escucharte más tiempo, pero sí, no me había dado cuenta que ya es tarde. Pues si no hay otra pregunta, otro comentario que alguien quisiera hacer antes de que nos despidiéramos.
Solo darle las gracias.
Come to Mexico.
I will.
And singing for us.
You know, one of my favorite singers in the whole world is Luis Miguel.
Really?
I saw Luis Miguel in Toronto 2 years ago. 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Yeah. Oh, but I saw him. I learned of Luis Miguel in 1993 when I launched Nikken in Mexico. And he was like, oh my God, this guy is incredible. The best voice I've ever heard. And then I saw him live, finally, 3 years ago here in Toronto. And that was an incredible concert. And he's still as good. He still has that voice.
Think a little for us.
I keep the idea that it's very important to be very, very close with the people we sponsored in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
I forgot that. I used to hear that moment well, years ago, but I think it's kind of the basics that it's very, very important. So, thank you.
There's many emotions when you get involved in Nikken. So they need a partner to go through that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perdón, Elsie, ¿puedes traducir esto, porfa?
Sí,
Sí.
¿me escuchan? Ok.
At the end, it was congratulations, you've unlocked.
Is someone asking a question?
No, they wanted the translation, but it's not loud enough.
Oh.
Hang on.
The translation de la traducción de qué, Moni?
Bueno, es que estaba hablando Mike, después tú comentaste algo y se quedó sin traducirse todo eso.
Bueno, que le decía que para mí había sido muy importante recordar lo esencial que es que recién inscribamos a alguien, lo acompañemos a tener éxito y dinero los 3 primeros meses. Como que eso va a definir mucho el ritmo de su negocio. Entonces, eso yo lo oía mucho, recién empecé a acompañar a mi mamá, que era muy importante. Y la verdad es que hacía mucho que no lo escuchaba. Yo creo que son de los básicos más importantes que permanecen durante los 28 o 30 años, 45 años que tengan Nikken. Yo creo que son de las estrategias básicas, ¿no? El impulsar a una persona que inscribes los 3 primeros meses, darles muchísima importancia, muchísimo apoyo, muchísima emoción. Bueno, ya le eché yo de mi rollo, pero bueno.
Well, maybe we wrap up.
Hay que tomar una foto. ¿No?
Shall we send everybody to bed? By the way, let me just put an invitation to you. If there's anyone who wants to reach out to me, I'm not, what's the word? I'm accessible. I am accessible. So if you want to connect with me, I usually use WhatsApp. So I'll give you my WhatsApp information.
Les va a pasar el WhatsApp por si quieren comunicarse con él.
Just keep in mind, English is the preferred. So that's my WhatsApp number.
Thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Okay. Very well. Well, listen, I guess we can wrap it up. Thank you again. Thank you for translating. I know it wasn't easy, Elsa, so thank you for your effort.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Monica, for connecting with me and inviting me. And nice to see you, Laura, always.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
And I really do look forward to coming back to Mexico as soon as possible. I just love you guys. You're so much fun, and corazón, you know, just so hard.
Yeah.
Muchísimas gracias.
Michael, when do you work on the Spanish translation of your book?
It's not really, it's not a focus in my life. I've never promoted this book. I just don't promote it. It's never been a focus. So it's not important enough to really worry about that. We have enough to do already, and I certainly have enough to do than to worry about translating it. But, you know, your leaders are leaders because they're really good at what they do. Learn from them. And Latin America is definitely leading Nikken, so learn from your leaders. You don't need to read the book.
Muchísimas gracias, Mike. Este Zoom es una muestra de que siempre estás disponible porque pues simplemente te mandé un WhatsApp, contestaste como en 1 hora y aceptaste. Así que esto que está haciendo posible pues es una muestra de eso y te lo agradezco muchísimo. Gracias por todos los tips que nos diste, gracias por todas estas 2 horas que nos diste, de verdad muchísimas gracias y pues nos vemos pronto. Muchas gracias a todos, gracias Elcita que tradujiste maravillosamente, gracias a todos los que se conectaron y pues buenas noches.
Vamos a darle un aplauso.
Gracias. Buenas noches.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Mike.
Gracias, Mike. Bye, Mike.
Bye.
Gracias. Bye. Buenas noches.
Gracias, gracias.
Great job, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Gracias, Elcita. Muchas
Nada.
gracias. Saludos a Chris.
Saludos a todos.
Muchas gracias, Lau.
Gracias a ti, Mónica. Qué buena idea de ver todos estos Zooms de genealogía, cómo los he disfrutado.
Sí, increíble.
Cada uno. Bueno, pues yo creo que paramos la grabación. Y...
Gracias, Moni. Saludos, Laurita.
Nos vemos, Gerardo.
Bye, Gerardo. Gracias.
Bye.
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 Bye. Entonces, 1, 2, 3, pues vámonos. Buenas noches.
Gracias, Lau. Bye.
Al contrario, bye.